at that stage, the 6 immediately in front of him were Randy Mamola with a 20-plus second lead over his Lucky Strike teammate Mike Baldwin from Rothman's Honda rider Wayne Gardner. So it's 2 Yamahas leading Honda, leading Ron Haslam Honda, Neil McKenzie Honda, Christian Saron Yamaha. 15 laps, 7 remain. So bad luck for Kevin McGee. It'd be lovely to know a little bit more about it. But number 8, Raymond Roche, 30-year-old, World Endurance Champion, 1981. Supporter for Eddie Lawson back in 85, then sort of supporting Wayne Gardner in 86. He crashed quite a lot, running in a different team, but it was still Rothman's colours. And last year he had 2 fifth places, 3 sixths, 2 sevenths. A fair number of crashes. He's such a short man in both stature and in the arms that they in fact have to build a more shallow tank, or they did last year on the Hondas, for him. And that's Christian Saron. So, Greg, what could be causing this? Lack of concentration or conditions getting worse?
Oh, I don't think conditions are getting worse, Will, but if the circuit's drying out in some places, that doesn't help. You know, if the circuit stays, that part of the circuit there especially, you can see where there's not as much water on the track. But I think you'll find that Christian fell off on one of the slower corners, and he has been prone to fall off by locking up front wheels. And
so, to recap the situation then, we would have this man, Randy Mamola, in what seemed to be, what we've seen of it, a flawless ride so far, from his teammate Mike Baldwin. They're on their 16th lap. Wayne Gardner still holding 3rd place, best place of the Hondas at this stage. 36th there. Norio Iobi is in front of, as you can see, the race leader who's catching him to lap him. Haslam is 4th. 5th is 11, McKenzie. 6th then we'll have Keeley, number 10, when we lose Christian Saron, and then 32, best place Suzuki, Takumi Ito. And another lap completed, so 16 now down to Randy Mamola. And he just flies absolutely unchaseably onward. A fantastic ride of at least a second a lap margin. In fact, more than that, isn't it? It's closer to a second and a half over Mike Baldwin.
They'd be telling him exactly where he is with the pit boards across the pit fence, and I'd say Randy now be just concentrating very, very hard on doing what he's done for the last.
Wayne was getting pretty sideways there, Greg, in 3rd place.
Yeah,
still hanging on well.
Fast corners there, Will, and the throttle right open with 150 horsepower, and I think it would be in 3rd or 4th gear, so there's a lot of power in the ground.
And this is 4th place Ron Haslam, 5th place Keeley, who moves forward, so the situation changing fairly constantly. And it's a good battle between the two of them. How do you see that resolving itself, Greg Hansford?
That was another rider down there.
Kevin McGee, incidentally, we have information, is okay. Very delighted to report the 24-year-old from Horsham holding 7th place in his opening World Championship race, and I don't think it would have put an enormous amount of shame on him. Certainly he'd rather have finished as we see Yatsushiro. So, boy, losing some major placings. Yatsushiro had gone well back in the field, but of course had been in that early bunch, struggling firstly for 2nd, then for 3rd place, and then further back. Race leader, Randy Mamola, still not afraid to go right out to the white line and use every little bit of racetrack. And as I was saying of Kevin McGee, whilst he'd rather have finished quite obviously, and despite the greater security of four wheels, I don't know that he's going to go very well, or even why he's particularly on the racetrack. But there's the man that he's trying to get to attend to, Shunji Yatsushiro, 26-year-old 1981 Japanese Formula One champion.
You can tell the Japanese love their motorcycles. They're always last to the rider. When the other two riders fell off, Earl and Saron, they weren't interested in Christian. They just wanted to get his bike out of the road. See how badly damaged it was.
Well, the country that heads the world's motorcycle industry, and where they really are a fashion item, as we see Hibashi Yamana, 34-year-old on a Suzuki RGB, now being lapped by race leader Randy Mamola, whose lead still is only 18 seconds, one might say only, but he's, in fact, it's come back to 15 seconds. So this man, Mike Baldwin's taken 3 seconds off him, and Wayne Gardner still holding third place. But Randy Mamola, unlike last year where he had a couple of hairline fractures in a shoulder after a fall at Silverstone and was not fit for several major races after that, is this year fully fit. He's one of the people that hasn't been off in qualifying, and he's certainly showing an enormous amount of confidence on this, his 18th lap. He's completed 17 along with Mike Baldwin. And that's the situation. Wayne Gardner's third, as we see Tyra absolutely rocketing along, but he's out of the top 6. Haslam, McKenzie, and Keeley. Keeley's done a good job working himself up into that bunch. And Tyra, in fact, is back in 9th place. So from that 6th position, number 32, Ito, we come to, sorry, Keeley's in front of him, so then it's Ito, 32, or Ito, 33, Kawasaki, and 21, Tyra, 9th place. Twin crankshafts on these V4 Yamahas with about 155 horsepower, phenomenally light bikes. And the new technique, Greg Hansford, for riding this sort of machine, which you still have to do in the wet, is to drift them, slide the rear wheels, steer it on the throttle like people used to do years ago with racing cars.
Yes, well, they've changed the front end geometry so much that that's what I think has created the way you have to ride the bikes, not track them around the corners like before. If you slid a motorcycle, you'd find yourself in trouble, but now you have to do it to be up there with the leaders. Not so much in the wet, but very much so in the dry.
Tyra looks very aggressive on the bike, doesn't he? Not getting off it a lot, but punching it and moving it about.
All the Japanese riders look like that to me. They don't give 90%, they're all 110% tries.
And this race leader just leaps about everywhere like some sort of very high-speed ballet dancer.
He's doing a beautiful job, just using every inch of the road from white line to white line.
He is, isn't he? He's so confident, as you say, not missing a centimetre. And Mike Baldwin, 2nd place. Down. Bike number 4. So, we can say that Kevin McGee's in pretty good company. Christian Saron, Mike Baldwin. Saron when he was 6th, Mike Baldwin when he was 2nd, Wayne Gardner now 2nd. Damn, he's saying. Number 11, Neil McKenzie. And we've praised a few people, but the young Scott's done a great job, and of course this man now comes up to 8th place, Tadahiko Taira. They're likely to be slipperier puddles in a few places if you get out offline, a bit of surface water lying in some spots.
Yes, well, but you see Randy, he's using, he's not following the line that every other rider's using. He's going out wide there, especially through the wet stuff.
He is,
could be on purpose because he doesn't want to get in that dry line, and he knows he's got enough time up his sleeve that he doesn't have to, but just trying to keep his tyres cool.
And yet this is the man that his team mentor, Kenny Roberts, 3 times world champion, King Kenny, who was the man to beat when you were over there, has been trying to alter his style to do more steering of the bike with throttle control. He's now 37 seconds ahead of Wayne Gardner there in second place. 37 seconds the lead of Randy Mamola on lap 19 with 3.5 remaining in this opening round of the 16 in this year's World 500cc Motorcycle Road Racing Championships over Wayne Gardner second, Neil McKenzie the Scot third, riding for HB Honda, then Ron Haslam, Pier Francesco Keeley, and on 33, Hiroyuki Kawasaki on Yamaha. And that is 19 laps completed, 3 now remaining for Randy Mamola. Coming up within about half a minute now of what would have been the normal full race time at a 2.25 minute lap time for 22 laps, but he in these conditions with 3 remaining. And he started racing when he was 10, but Freddie Spencer, World 250 and 500 champion in 83, the man who is to support Wayne Gardner here, wearing bike number 2 last year, but who missed virtually the whole season. He started in a couple of Grands Prix and retired. Started racing at age 6, and that's third place then Neil McKenzie. So you've seen the 3. Ron Haslam is 4th. Look how close he is to McKenzie. This would be a great result for Ron Haslam, who last year had 2 7th places, 1 8th, 3 9ths and a 10th as his overall performance for the season. Now looks as though he could threaten fellow British rider Neil McKenzie for third place. Ron Haslam, and then 32, Takumi Ito. He's in there close too. Quite tall, but very slightly built, Neil McKenzie. And Haslam not seeming to need as much road as he came out of a corner there in what's looking to be Greg Hansford. A great struggle over these last 2.5 laps for third place.
Yeah, they're going to need all their tyres if they're going to start battling for these last couple of laps, because the wider you open those throttles in that wet condition, the more wheel spin they're going to end up with.
Randy Mamola, and just as confident, squirming the tyres down hard, really squatting the bike and making it work with this enormous lead, 37 odd seconds over Wayne Gardner in second place. And Wayne would be very pleased to be placed there as we see 2 lapped bikes. Iobi, one of them on 36, and this is the enormous gap to Wayne Gardner in second place, riding with injuries to both his left and his right ankle. There he is. Come on, Wayne Gardner. Runner-up last year in the World Championships, 7th in 1985, 4th in 84, 4th the following year, 2nd last year, and now McKenzie and Ron Haslam argue and battle and chase each other for third place and for 5th place, and getting in amongst them as well is Takumi Ito, 32. So a run to the flag for third place keeps it very interesting indeed. Wayne Gardner no chance at all of catching Randy Mamola. Randy Mamola and Gardner now, first and second, have completed 20, have 2 remaining, but much closer to him than he was at Spa last year, where Gardner had a wretched time. And after 20 laps, this is the race situation. And particularly note that battle for third place, Neil McKenzie, Ron Haslam, Ito, and a little bit further back in 6th place, Pier Francesco Keeley. 10 nationalities starting in the race today, 32 bikes, very nearly 20 of them from Yamaha, Honda, Suzuki and the Italian Cagiza company, the owner now of Ducati, factory supplied bikes. Race leader, as we just briefly saw, 4th place, on the tail of that battle for third of three people, Neil Mackenzie, Ron Haslam and Ito. But second last lap for Randy Mamola, the man who won only 10 Grands Prix last year. He's won 10 in all. Same number as you, Greg Hansford, a magic number.
Yes, it is. Well, we're both in the record books over there as having won 10 Grand Prix, which is the most of any rider to never win a World Championship. So if he wins this one, he's all by himself.
I wonder how much it'll fire him up this year to be in the lead in the chase for the World Championship. He hasn't been there for a while.
It does wonders to be in front in leading a World Championship, especially to start the year off in the first race. And you'd have to say Randy's not far away from winning a World Championship because he's been nearly there so many times.
So, this just a stunning, overwhelming, superior performance by Randy Mamola as he goes out now on his final lap. He's completed 21, he's on the 22nd and last in this first of 16 rounds of the 1987 World Championship with a lead of nearly 40 seconds over Australian Wayne Gardner. Yamaha leads Honda. Wayne Gardner signing this year with Honda for a figure of nearly $800,000 with various benefits, and Mamola has lapped up to 12th place. Only 11 people in the original 32 starters, but he hasn't lapped as he's gone on his flying way, and we see this battle now, and we see it's Haslam and Ito in very close company. Neil Mackenzie was heading them. He's pulled away just a little bit. There he is. So it's Neil Mackenzie third, and then it's Haslam, then it's Ito, and on 22, Simon Buckmaster is no way in that group. He's been lapped. So, great performance by Neil Mackenzie. Oh dear, Ron Haslam. Ron Haslam has thrown away fourth place, his best finishing possible result in several years in World Championship racing. And as we said before, if Kevin McGee's in exalted company, even more so now. Not this man though, Randy Mamola. A superb flying, brilliantly fast, dominant ride. Get it going again. Well done, Ron Haslam, as Keeley comes by. Pier Francesco Keeley, and starting to wave, the master of the slowing down lap acrobatics is Randy Mamola. Stand the bike on its nose, do mono wheels, but I don't know if he'll risk that in these conditions. But the freckle-faced Californian who loves his bike racing, doesn't he? And perhaps it's his enjoyment of it, his sheer enthusiasm for it, that's cut him back a little bit on his potential.
You've got to have enthusiasm like that to do what Randy's done for the last 10 or 12 years, and all over the world. Terrific job here today.
Racing since he was 10. 27 years old now, and he's headed to victory. Only his second in 2 years. He tries to get the front wheel up, and he wins round 1 of the 1987 World Motorcycle Road Racing Championships. Randy Mamola victorious in the first of scheduled 16 rounds in this year's championship, as Australia's Wayne Gardner then in second place, who's ridden with injuries to left and right ankle, ridden superbly, very gamely, and survived many crashes by other riders. Now into this very slow chicane, which means just hooks it onto the finishing straight. And Wayne Gardner now takes second place as Randy Mamola is on his slowing down lap, and that man on bike number 3, Wayne Gardner, now with the race successfully completed and a great performance. Randy Mamola's race time, 57 minutes 22 seconds, averaging 137.9 kilometres an hour for the 22 laps, the 132 kilometres of the Japanese World Championship 500 Grand Prix. Great stuff. Big crowd at Suzuka Circuit in Japan. Massive crowd there for the 8-hour. Not as big a crowd for this race, so the Japanese obviously prefer their endurance racing. But then we've got Neil Mackenzie finishing in third. No, Mackenzie has fallen back behind Takumi Ito. The information that we have is that Takumi Ito was third, and that Keeley on 10 is fourth. Haslam picked up for fifth, and Tadahiko Taira on 21 for sixth. But that, without any shadow of a doubt, doing his post-race antics, was the victor. Brilliant riding by Randy Mamola, I'm sure, has impressed our SBS's resident sporting man and soccer enthusiast, Les Murray.
Will Hagan and Greg Hansford doing a great job in the commentary box there, and Randy Mamola victorious, Wayne Gardner coming a very good second.
Takumi Ito.
Thank you, Will, for helping me out there. If you could just pick up the last two placings, though, Will. It was a pretty good race.
It was indeed. Pier Francesco Keeley, the Italian, and then Britisher crashed but recovered, Ron Haslam fifth. So Neil Mackenzie, one of a number who fell out of major placings, and for him, on the last lap of the race.
And there were some others, of course. Eddie Lawson, Ron Haslam towards the end fell out pretty badly. It wasn't a very easy race to win, for sure.
No, not an easy one at all, and yet, as is so often the case, the winner made it look so easy, didn't he?
That's
it was
right.
just a stunning performance, Greg, wasn't it?
How did you see the reason why Mamola did it so well, though, Greg?
It would have to be a combination of Randy's feelings in himself on the day, his confidence in the mechanics and the machine he was riding, and the tyres that he had on. As I said before to Will, the first couple of laps Randy was in the pack, and he was just going around with them, feeling his way with the motorcycle, and he wouldn't have known what it was like because of the conditions. He hadn't been in those conditions before, and once he realised that the bike felt great and the tyres were good, he was just gone.
Will, you did point to the fact that Mamola won a race last season on such a track.
Yes.
Was it a case of history repeating itself there?
Well, to an extent, and yet then we had a very wet race in the British Grand Prix at Silverstone, and Gardner put in that sort of a performance to win there. So it's not always that Randy has that sort of advantage, but by gee, he certainly did today.
Yes, he did. The wet track, is it a case, Greg, where it influenced the race to the extent where Mamola could win? I mean, do you think that perhaps on a dry track it would have been a different story?
No, I don't think so. Randy wouldn't have, if it had been a dry track, he wouldn't have run away and won by 20 seconds like he did. But there would have been a lot of other guys that wouldn't have crashed. As you see with third and fourth placing, Ito and the other guys come up there because of guys crashing in front. You've got to finish.
All right, Greg, thanks for that. Thanks for your good work today. You too, Will. You did a marvellous job in there. It's not very easy looking at the just looking at the thing off the monitor, but we did enjoy having you here with us. And of course, hopefully, we'll be getting you back. We do hope to bring other GPs live into Australia. Thanks for your good work today.
Fifth row sees 30, Stan Bayliss in a revolutionary machine, which we'll tell you more about shortly. Should also be bike 16, actually should be forward on the fourth row, Chris Downing. And Stan Bayliss' machine, no name, he's just built it, but it's got a Kawasaki power plant and gearbox. 1000cc out of a machine that was wrecked when it had only 673 kilometres on it. No scratchings in this event, so 13 line up on the grid.
The field almost equally made up of two-stroke